Person of the Public Protector's Office. Sipho, a very good morning to you. What is happening where you are?
Well, a very good morning to you and our viewers at home. I'm coming outside the Public Protector's offices here in Hatfield and Pretoria. This, of course, follows the news that the urgent interdict that was supposed to be heard by the North Gauteng High Court filed by President Cyril Ramaphosa has been postponed to Thursday. Now, a matter of clarity is that this urgent interdict does not relate to Public Protector's findings against President Cyril Ramaphosa regarding the Bosasa matter, but rather this relates to the Pravin Gordhan early retirement approval of Ivan Pillay, and the fact that the Public Protector had instructed the President to implement the remedial actions there, and the President, of course, then approaching the court seeking to interdict that enforcement. But to get a bit more clarity, I am joined by the spokesperson of Public Protector, Advocate Abusu Mkhwebane, spokesperson, that is Opa Sekhwala. Thank you very much, Opa. Busy week for yourselves here in the Public Protector's office. Just talk to us about what happened this morning in court. I understand that legal representatives of the President and also of the Public Protector's office were there. Yes,
it emerged last night that there was no judge that had been assigned to hear this particular matter, and we were told that the issue was going to be settled this morning, and so all the parties met with the Deputy Judge President Ledwaba this morning, where the issue was discussed, and at the end of the meeting it was resolved that the Deputy Judge President will find a judge that will hear this matter now on Thursday this week.
All right, and just talk to us about which matter this is. There are several matters here, and there was a bit of confusion earlier on. Is this the urgent interdict that the President had said he was going to file on Bosasa, or what is this matter about?
This relates to a report that the Public Protector issued, I think, around May, with regard to the pension payout to Mr. Ivan Pillay by the South African Revenue Services. It has got absolutely nothing to do with the Bosasa investigation. We know that the President about a week ago indicated that he was going to approach the court on an urgent basis to have the Public Protector's report on Bosasa reviewed, but thus far we have not received any papers from the President's lawyers.
Okay, this is strictly related to the Ivan Pillay Pravin Gordhan matter. And just if you can just perhaps clarify for us, what is the issue here? Is it because the President wants to interdict the remedial actions that the Public Protector had instructed him to implement?
The President has raised several issues in his application. One is that in his view, he thinks he has complied with the remedial action, particularly the part that requires him to note the Public Protector's remedial action or findings. But then there is a part of the remedial action that relates to him taking action against Minister Pravin Gordhan. He has indicated that he's not in a position to do that because there is a review application pending by the minister, and so the Public Protector is opposing that, because our view is that a review application does not stay the implementation of the remedial action. There ought to be an interdict, and the interdict must be caused by the aggrieved party, which in this case it would be Minister Pravin Gordhan.
All right, and interesting that you're speaking that the Public Protector Office is opposing that. We had another matter yesterday relating to Pravin Gordhan, and then you opposed that interdict there, but then the Public Protector's Office lost that. Do you still think wise for the Public Protector's Office to go ahead interdicting this application?
These are matters of principle. With regard to yesterday's case, we have indicated that the Public Protector is disappointed with the outcome because, in our view, the judge overreached. She ventured into a space that she had not been called upon to entertain. For example, she dealt with the merits of the review proceedings, and yet the review is yet to take place. And in our view, she has effectively tied the hands of the review court, and we are left wondering whether there's anything to pursue at all with regard to a review, because she made pronouncements, for example, on what she thinks is the case with regard to the qualifications of Mr. Ivan Pillay. She said in her view there was nothing wrong with that appointment. She made a similar statement about the finding that the minister misled the National Assembly and so forth. So those are the issues that were to be the focus of the review itself, not the interdict, which was the case yesterday.
And then, of course, the statement says that the public protector will now be appealing yesterday's ruling that granting Minister Godan that urgent interdict. But part of the language of the statement you released, it seems as if the public protector is mostly aggrieved by the language of the judge saying that her remedial actions are nonsensical. But it doesn't seem to be based on the subjects of the case at hand. Seems to be more aggrieved about the language and an attack on her character. But what about the merits of the case itself?
Well, it's much more than that. As I say, first and foremost, the public protector is of the view that the judge overreached. She dealt with issues that were not brought before her. And then there's also the issue of reliance on documents that had absolutely nothing to do with that particular case. And by this, I'm referring to, the correspondence exchanged between the public protector and the president, which correspondence relates to the case that was to be heard today, not that one. And then there's also the issue that those, pieces of correspondence had not been served prior to the proceedings, so the other parties did not have those copies and so could not really engage on those, and seemingly a decision has been made on the basis of those documents. But then, of course, the issue of the language that the judge employed, we took serious exception to our remedial action being labelled nonsensical and so forth. We don't think that that is in keeping with the decorum of the court, and we think it's unfair for a presiding officer to use those kind of language, those kind of words, because they suggest that she's getting emotional and playing the man, not the ball.
Okay, and now there's a couple of issues, of course, involving public protector office. And just very lastly, your deputy head of this institution went on, made some media comments suggesting that there's a lack of consultation that happens within the public protector's office, and also suggesting that with the Bank of ABSA report that was reviewed and set aside by the North Gauteng High Court, that he had no idea about those findings that were made by the public protector. How did this public protector receive those news that her deputy has gone around saying that there's lack of consultation in this office?
Well, the deputy public protector is delegated work by the public protector. That has always been the case from time immemorial. You would have matters that have to do with service delivery, for example, being allocated to the deputy public protector to focus on, and the public protector focusing on matters of good governance and integrity. That would be corruption matters, that would be matters of executive ethics and so forth. So it's not surprising that he may not be fully conversant with issues relating to some so-called high-profile investigations, because he is allocated work in a particular area, and that has always been the case even before Advocate Mkhwebane came into office. That's why, for example, Advocate Malunga wouldn't have been involved in the investigation of Ngandla or even state capture. But with regard to consultation, we have various leadership structures in the office where the deputy public protector sits, like what we call the dashboard, where executive managers who lead the various investigation branches brief the public protector and the deputy public protector and the CEO on a monthly basis on progress on cases.
All right. Thank you very much. That's the spokesperson of the Public Protector's Office, Opa Sekgale, just giving us an update on a number of issues that this office is engaged in, number of litigations that the Public Protector is engaged in. But today was supposed to be that urgent interdict by the President regarding the enforcement of remedial actions that is against Minister Pravin Gordhan, for approving early retirement of Ivan Pillay, who was of course the former deputy commissioner of SARS. The issue there was that the public protector had asked the president to implement the remedial actions, but the president saying that he cannot do so right away up until the matter has been fully reviewed in a court of law. So that's what today was about. The reviewing of the Bosasa report by the public protector is still to go ahead. Opa just confirmed to us that they haven't received the president's papers on that matter. So today was simply the matter of SARS involving Ivan Pillay and Minister Pravin Gordhan.
Thank you very much there, Sipho Stuurman. Let's now go back to